I still vividly remember the bright lights like these, and the smell of the antiseptic, and the metal railings as they took me from one room to the surgery room. I was 4 years old, and it wasn't my first surgery, but it's the first one that I remember this vividly. I remember the nurses telling me, "You're so brave, you're so strong, you can do this." And I remember looking at them, and all I could see was their kind eyes, because these nurses all had masks on and hairnets, and they were blue. And I was believing them that I was so strong and I was so brave, until one nurse reached up and grabbed a mask and put it on my face. And it smelled so terrible that I just kept holding my breath and hoping she would take it off again, and she wasn't. And she wasn't removing this mask, and so I started screaming, "Help, help, Mom, Dad." And this nurse put her hand on my shoulder and she said, "Shh, it'll be over soon." And the other nurses came over and they started holding my arms and holding my legs. "Shh, it'll be over soon." And what do you know? They were right. And when I woke up from surgery, I had a new eardrum on my left-hand side. It was called a tympanoplasty. It wasn't the first or the last of my surgeries in my lifetime, but it was the first time I remember wishing that I could communicate more with the people that were touching me. Communicate more in understanding what was going to happen. Now, I look back as a mom, and I'm not sure how they could have done that. But as you listen to that story, did you identify with the 4-year-old that didn't know how? Or did you identify with these nurses and adults creating a miracle for a small child and giving the gift of hearing? Their intention pure and good, their impact falling a little flat. And how often can we all say we've been in that position too? My name's Elizabeth Strusz, and I'm a mom, and I have the coolest kid, and I'm a wife, and she listens to my self-advocacy more than anybody should have to. And I'm a salon owner, and I'm disabled, and I'm autistic. And I don't tell you those things because you need to hear all my cool labels. I share that because every one of you has as many labels and hats as I do. And I need all of you and all parts of you to show up at this table with me. Because today I want to talk about self-advocacy in 2 different ways. I want to talk about it in how can I make it easier for you for the times that you need to speak up and you just don't know how, and for those of us that need people to speak up to us and we need to teach them how, which means we have to wear all of our labels to here today. So we know by the time we're 4, we know who to ask for help from. Hence the story, I yelled for my parents. But we also know that by the time we're 8 years old, we actually quit asking for help. See, we think the problem comes when we're teenagers, but it's well before that. By the time we're 8, we're not going to raise our hand in class because it's just too vulnerable. I don't want to ask the question by the time I'm 8 because I don't know if they'll answer the right question. And then by the time I'm a teenager, the 2022 Mental Health of America report actually told us that 86.9% of teens just don't ask for help because they think that we believe they should just be able to do it. They should just be able to tackle whatever comes across their plate. And the scary part of that is that some of those teens are going to go on to become addicts. And the statistic for addicts is that 78% of them, they think that we think that they should just be able to heal themselves. And I'm here to tell you that as an addict, that's not how that works. You cannot stay sober by just doing it yourself. And the worst part of all these statistics is we found out during this report that 56.9% of teens actually thinks no one would care or notice if they got help. So we know people aren't showing up to ask for help, but those that do are lining up around the block. We have 590 people showing up per one mental health provider. The weight of this weighing on that one person. That person that has gone to school and put in their whole heart to be able to take care of all the things that live upstairs has 590 of us waiting at their door. And those that are trying to show up are gambling. See, I have to gamble to see if you are going to have culturally competent care for me. I have to gamble to see if you're even going to be affordable for me, if I can even get to your place of business, and if you have internet. I'm gambling to show up. And that is if the wait list isn't too long. Because for some, it is. And can you imagine having this many people, how burnt out you would have to be at this point? And burnout's not a new conversation. It's something we've talked about quite a bit in the last 5 years. But would it surprise you to know that we've been talking and researching burnout since the 1970s? That means we've been researching this for over 55 years. And yet we're talking about it more and more at our dinner tables and at our workplaces, trying to figure out, how do we lower burnout? How do we make it so we actually want to enjoy going to work? I'm going to let you take a second to look at the slideshow behind me. This was from a UK study done on medical doctors. I believe it was late 2000s. One of the things you'll notice is that I have a feeling, even if you aren't a medical doctor or a mental health professional, that you probably found yourself somewhere on this page. And you'll notice on your left-hand side, there's a thing that says personal accomplishment is the mitigator to burnout. Getting your voice to choose what makes you feel good negates burnout. But then, if you look on your right-hand side, you can see where it says low control goes directly into emotional exhaustion. And I would dare say that low control is directly responsible for learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is this thing that is happening where we go to ask for help and they just quit answering us, and now why would we go back? And the first time we'll go a total of 4 times, but after that, we'll only go once. And it might be one person that we went to 4 times, but the next person will go once or none. So I would love to update this slide and just offer that self-advocacy could actually reduce compassion fatigue. Being able to find ways where we're both heard and seen and take the pressure off the person that needs to be listening would be the way that we could actually break this down. When I go see the doctors, I actually don't care if they know my name. I'm aware that they have anywhere from 2,000 and on average to 2,500 people in their caseload. My name is the least of what I care about. But I do care that when I show up in your office with 40 years of pain, sometimes unable to walk, I care that you meet me with emotion and empathy before your intelligence. And don't get me wrong, I think intelligence has gotten us to here in our science. But I don't think it will take us to the next level. You have to meet me as a whole person before you can diagnose me with anything. And I think that's true in leadership too. Toxic leadership is a 450 to $500 billion mistake per year. And I was a toxic leader, and I can tell you exactly how it happens. See, I didn't understand how I could build my company 500% year over year. I was growing 5 years in a row. Nobody had that in our industry. But my employees were leaving even faster. They were running away from me. And what changed it was someone being willing to write me a letter and say, hey, your intention is great. Your heart is there. But your impact, quite frankly, is shit. And because she spoke to me in a way that I could hear, it changed everything. And then I was able to start looking at, how come I can build a clientele as a hairdresser? Somebody walks in and they're shaking because their last haircut just shattered their confidence. And I'm listening. Oh, you don't want your bangs too short. Oh, this part freaks you out. Oh, and I can show up to them with empathy. But then I show up to my employee who says, hey, you know what? I'd like to have Saturday off to go shopping with my grandma. And I respond to them with, well, you said you'd be at work. No wonder they were leaving. I was meeting my clients and my hair guests with empathy, but I was meeting my employees with something drastically different. And now that we've started changing, where our entire teams are built on empathy and teaching them how to self-advocate, I teach my team to tell me they don't like me. Because the more that we can do that, the more that we can evolve and we can all move faster together. I teach them how to show up amongst each other to do that. And it's 3 really simple steps, but here's my main ask. Don't take these steps exactly, take them and make them your own. Make your own framework. And whether you're the person that needs to use them or the person that needs to teach them, find your own way. Step 1, I want you to interview the people you are working with. Now, let me be very clear. I actually don't care if my mental health coach likes tacos as much as I like tacos. I don't think that makes you better for my mental health. I do, however, care what exactly you're doing for your education and how often you're going for me to give you the most precious commodity I could possibly have. I need to know what you see. Interview them. And I also want to acknowledge that sometimes with doctors, you can't choose who you go to, but you better know who they are. Step 2, I want you to write it out. Write it out in a calm, quiet, safe place. When we're going into people and we're advocating what we need, it's not typically, hey, will you pass me a glass of water? It's typically, my life sucks and I need your help and I've got to change. That's when our emotions are high and our intelligence is low. So if you can write this from a calm space, a quiet space, a safe space, you can actually write this from your highest intelligence, and you can take that with you so you can be fully seen. My primary care physician at this point is very used to me walking in with a Post-it with 4 bullets on one side and 4 on the other, and we get our appointments done between 8 and 10 minutes because he knows that I'm going to come in with what's wrong, what I think could help, even if it's wrong, and what could possibly be next. He can see what I see, and therefore he can diagnose me much faster or send me to the next specialist. And then the last step is absolutely the hardest and took me the longest to figure out. Follow up. Before you leave the parking garage, send the email, send the message. And the message could look something like, hey, what I heard you say you were going to do, what I heard you say that I need to do, what I heard the next steps were going to be, and this is when we're going to follow up. And hot tip, I almost always forget to add the follow-up date in the time I'm with the person because my emotions are high. Put it in that email. And if that timeline doesn't work for them, they'll let you know. But it at least gets the calendar on the date so the things that are the most important to you don't get forgotten. And the best way to run this? Find your funny friend. Find the one that you know won't let you take this too seriously. And role play this, practice this, laugh, wear feather boas. Because if you can do this in a place where you can laugh and make it funny, then your brain says, I've already done this and this is fun. So that when you have to go have the courageous conversation, your courage is already there. You've already hacked yourself into a better life. So again, those of you that need to use self-advocacy, please do it. You are worth being here. You are worth taking up space. We need you to use your voices even when it shakes. And to those of you who are in charge of other people's lives, whether that's being a parent or a pastor or even a tattoo artist or a yoga teacher, there's so many ways that we meet people where they are. Find ways to teach them how to advocate with you that make your life easier. And to all of us in this room, please know this could be our revolution. Thank you.